Liverpool are at home and heavy favourites as they look to cement their place at the top of the Premier League, but they haven't had it all their own way against Crystal Palace over the past few years. Manchester United are also on their own patch against Brighton, seeking a 7th straight win under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, while London rivals and top 4 hopefuls, Arsenal and Chelsea, meet on Saturday evening. Here's our game-by-game guide with all kickoffs 3 p.m. on Saturday unless stated. Wolves v Leicester, Saturday 12:30. There's little between the two teams kicking off the weekend at lunchtime on Saturday. 2 points and 2 places, and a common-sense approach would point to a draw. But the Foxes have been difficult to get right this season, losing games they would expect to win and vice versa. Their last 3 Premier League defeats have been at the hands of teams starting the day in 16th, 17th and 18th Crystal Palace, Cardiff and Southampton, while they also lost to League Two Newport in the FA Cup. Yet, wedged in that same sequence, wins over Manchester City and Chelsea had punters scratching their heads even harder. So, a draw in this one? Probably. Wolves have pulled a few results out of the bag at Molineux, against Man City and Chelsea in the league and Liverpool in the cup, but they've lost 5 of their last 7 top-flight games there. They don't score or concede too many at home, and the same can be said of Leicester away. The draw is 11/5 and 1-1 is 11/2. Bournemouth v West Ham. West Ham were far from friendless in the betting last week, and they'll have plenty of backers once again as they face a Bournemouth side with just 2 wins and 1 draw in their last 14 games in all competitions. Going back the same number of matches, the Hammers have won 8 of 14, while most recently Manuel Pellegrini's men took care of Arsenal 24 hours before the Cherries lost to Everton, making it 5 straight without a win for Eddie Howe, his worst run of the campaign. The Hammers are 19/10 on the south coast and worth a punt on current form, and with Samir Nasri looking like a smart piece of business. Along with wantaway Marko Arnautovic, who won't play, he stood out against his old club last Saturday and set up Declan Rice's winner. To get a goal of his own, he's 18/5 at any time, 10/1 for the opener, and 5/1 in the score-win double. Liverpool v Crystal PalaceIt would be too much of a stretch to brand them Liverpool's bogey team, but Palace have won on 3 of their last 4 visits to Anfield, and few fans will forget that 3-3 at Selhurst Park a few years ago. They've also won their last 2 on the road, at Wolves and Man City, so travelling supporters might be tempted by the 17/1 for an away win. As for Liverpool, their patched-up defence has been written about ahead of every game this year, but it's at the other end that strange things are happening. Since ending 2018 with a thumping win over Arsenal, they've managed just 1 goal in each of their 3 outings, losing to Man City and Wolves, FA Cup, before last week's win at Brighton. Is this the one where it falls back into place, or do they grind it out again? The hosts are 11/4 to win by a goal and 10/3 to win by 2. Man United v Brighton. These two have met just 3 times in the Premier League, and it'll probably come as a surprise to most neutrals that Brighton won 2 of them. The Jose Mourinho will certainly remember them. He was in charge for both, but Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's United is a different animal and on the hunt for a 7th straight win. David De Gea earned them their 6th on the spin with save after save against Tottenham last week, and he's unlikely to be called on as much at home to the Seagulls. He's also unlikely to pull off another miracle display. He's only human after all. United are 3/10, but worth backing to win, with both teams scoring at 11/5. Before losing 1-0 to leaders Liverpool last weekend, Brighton had scored in every game of a 4-match unbeaten run, with Everton, West Ham, Arsenal and Bournemouth providing the opposition. Marcus Rashford is poised for his 150th game for United in the week. Reports claimed he was set to double his wages to £150,000 per week. He's 5/1 for the first goal. Newcastle v Cardiff. There's no denying Newcastle are in trouble with their lowest points tally at this stage of the season in 30 years, and yes, they did go down in 1988-89. They're back in the bottom 3 after last week's loss at Chelsea, but, surprisingly, they did manage to create a few chances at Stamford Bridge. Okay, there weren't many shots on target, but they did have more than Cardiff against Huddersfield. An hour and 9 minutes passed between the Bluebirds' first effort and their second, and they only ended up with 3 in total, none of which were on target. Newcastle are a shade better than evens with a few bookies, and are 23/10 to win without conceding. Cardiff have scored 1 goal in their last 5 in all competitions. Season at a glance: live tables, fixtures, scores, Premier League, Championship, League 1, League 2, Scottish Premiership, Scottish Division 1, Scottish Division 2, Scottish Division 3, League 1, Serie A, La Liga, Bundesliga. More tables, more fixtures, more scores. Southampton v Everton. Southampton shocked Leicester last Saturday, before bowing out of the FA Cup to Championship outfit Derby in midweek. Everton also performed better than expected last weekend, when they saw off Bournemouth. Danny Ings is back in contention for Saints after a hamstring injury, and they have Charlie Austin, Pierre-Emile Hojbjerg and Jan Valery available after bans, but the Toffees can stick in and take a point from this one. Any score draw is available at 7/. Watford v Burnley. Boss Sean Dyche goes back to his old club, hampered by a couple of injuries, but buoyed by 4 wins on the spin. Meanwhile, Watford are riding high in 7th place, so this might, just might, be threatening the podium on Match of the Day. Don't forget, Watford had a 3-3 draw just a fortnight ago with all 6 goals in a 26-minute spell, while Burnley's last few outings produced a couple of own goals, red cards and a last-minute penalty winner. Strap yourselves in, it's Watford v Burnley. Doesn't sound quite right, but you never know. The Hornets get the nod from the bookies. They're no better than 4/6, but this is their first home game of the year, and in the last 5 they played there in 2018, Cardiff was the only team they got the better of, as they drew with Newcastle and lost to 3 of the Big 6. At 3/1, a share of the points appeals. Arsenal v Chelsea. Saturday 5.30, with Arsenal back to their inconsistent best, and Chelsea putting a mini run together. 4 unbeaten in the league, is their best since 12 without loss kicked off the campaign. There's a case for backing the favourites Maurizio Sarri's side at 11/8. But where's the fun in that? It's a derby, it's on the telly, get it on the bet builder. Arsenal's Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and Chelsea's Eden Hazard are the two players whose goals have been worth the most points for their teams this season. Get on them both to score at any time. And this one could live up to its billing, so how about both teams to score in both halves? That, along with the two scorers, returns 20/1. There hasn't been a red card in this fixture since David Luiz 5 games ago, but that top 4 race is hotting up. Chuck in a sending off and that takes the payout up to 100/1. Huddersfield v Man City Sunday 1. 30th good news for managerless Huddersfield was their goalless draw with Cardiff last time out brought a 9-game losing stretch to a halt. The bad news is Sunday's opponents have scored 24 goals and they lost 5 games. So it looks like a case of how many for Pep Guardiola's City. To be fair to Huddersfield, despite their rotten results, in their last 13 games, they've only conceded more than 2 goals twice to Manchester United and Southampton. Yes, Southampton. However, they did go down 6-1 at the Etihad Stadium earlier in the season. A repeat of that scoreline is 50/1 in most places, but a safer bet is the 3/1 available for more than 4.5 total goals and the game. Fulham v Spurs Sunday 4. No Harry Kane and no Son Heung-min, but it should also be no problem for Tottenham. Fulham are floundering with the worst goal difference left (29) and goals conceded 49 in the division, with 23 of the 49 coming in 7 games against the Big Six. Spurs are no better than 4/5, but pick a player to back in the score-win double. Dele Alli is 3/1, while Christian Eriksen is 7/2. Best bets for the weekend homes: Man United, Newcastle, Gillingham, Charlton, Sterling 25/1 marathon aways. Man City, Tottenham, Hull, Leeds 17/1 several bookies draws. Watford v Burnley, Forest v Bristol City, Forest Green v Bury 40/1 most bookies anytime scorer. Eriksen, Nasri, Rashford 32/1 Betwayska cast. Rashford first goal, Man United to win 3-1 60/1 Pad power from odds checker. Com